Welcome to the Sportz Phenz Show. The show where, just like you, we can't get enough sports.
The 47-year wait is over! And the Nuggets win it! Wilson throwing, it's up for grabs, it is caught for the touchdown! And the Denver Broncos have taken Super Bowl 50. And the Avalanche are 2022 Stanley Cup champions! And a shot into the back of the net for Diego Rubio!
Now here's your hosts, Arthur Knight,
1-0 Rapids. They are champions.
What's good in the hood? Welcome to the Sportz Phenz Show. I am Arthur Knight, and with me is Mr. Ryan, the head.
AKA Talking Head. I only wish I had a long sleeve version of this color, but...
Somebody who decided to be, didn't realize that we use green screens.
It's my overwhelming media experience shining through here.
He's giving the new definition of a talking head on television. That's what we're doing here today.
We're having fun with it. Yeah.
Or he's my walking logo. I mean, that's free advertisement. Most corporations do that, right?
You know, I believe in transparency. You know, as a commentator, I don't want to hold anything back. I want y'all to be able to see right through me. You know?
I mean, you know, you just coming in clean and hot. All right, so we're coming to you live from 4300 West Alameda here in Denver, Colorado, from Sohai Cafe. Come on by, get you some barbecue or some tacos. Man, the taqueria is slamming. As soon as we're done here, I know they're done at 8, but hopefully they'll still hook your boy up with some tacos. Or I know Vinny's got barbecue on tap no matter what. So make sure you come by, get you that homemade mac and cheese. Maybe he's got some baked beans. But tonight's the Nuggets game. It might be a little late to get in pre-orders now, but, you know, call up, see what he's got. See, you know, you've got at least an hour before the game, you know, for tip-off tonight. Or you've got Sunday's Cowboys versus the Broncos game here in town. Get your pre-orders in now. Call Vinny up, 303-807-0151. That's 303-807-0151. Tell him the Sportz Phenz sent you. Get that 10% discount. We are also coming to you live from IMV Vision. IMV Vision is devoted to offering an affordable and fashionable eyewear. INV is your eye care advocates. Their goal is to provide all with the education and awareness needed to make an informed decision about your vision and health. They are located off of Alameda and Buckley in Aurora, Colorado. So you can call today, 720-762-4290, or book online at invvision.com. They take most medical insurance and Medicaid, so call or book today at 720-762-4290 or invvision.com. That's 720-762-4290 or invvision.com. INVvision, we see you. Okay. Man, a lot's going down today. I know, you know, the talk today is, you know, the King of Park Hill gets arrested. We're going to talk about that. We're going to get into that later in the podcast today. But first things first, man, we got to talk Broncos. Nuggets play tonight. Avalanche are on fire. Like, Avalanche is playing like a team possessed, in my humble opinion. But first things first, man, the Broncos. Now, don't get me wrong, a win's a win. I don't want anybody to take my griping, my little bit of griping that I'm going to give as you know, hey, they lost the game, or hey, you know, give them a break, because I'm going to give them a break. I'm going to give the Denver Broncos some grace. I was willing, if they were going to lose the game, I was willing to give them some grace. I'm like, look, this team went from a Monday night game to a Sunday morning game, flew out to London, played an even earlier game, and then flew back into the States to play a team here in the Mile High Stadium after flying in from London. So I was going to give them all the grace afforded for a team that would go through all of that. The problem is that they laid a goose egg for like 3 straight quarters and then scored 33 straight points, like unanswered. Well, not unanswered, because I think the Giants did score somewhere in between there.
Twice,
yeah. But the bottom line is that it's like, where was that offense, that 33-point offense, in the first 3 quarters? that running game. Like, what was the I've been trying to say it for the past few weeks, man. It's been driving me absolutely nuts that he doesn't run the ball. Like, this coach does not run the ball. Coach Payton does not want to run the ball. And then he runs the ball effectively in the fourth quarter. What happens? 33 points. And it's just like, dude, run the ball, bro. Run the ball. I mean, I'm not getting paid millions upon millions of dollars. I'm not the coach of the Broncos. But it's just like, man, you can't tell me that that doesn't correlate to each other, right?
I mean, there's a few factors in there. Real quick, I just want to acknowledge the nature of your intro there. It's so funny how as soon as baseball season's over, Denver just seems like the best sports city in the world all of a sudden. It's the weirdest thing.
It is the best sports city in the world.
Yeah. Outside of
besides baseball.
Right. Yeah. No, but
unless you're talking high school or, because there's actually some good teams out here.
Right,
but anyway.
Right. No disrespect on the high school circuit here at all.
Right.
No, to your point, 50 pass attempts, 24 carries again for this offense, and there's a lot of things that you can point to, but when you've seen this repeatedly from this team now, you saw something similar in the Philly game, where they go through these long stretches where they just look completely incompetent, and then all of a sudden, like, they just can't be stopped. It's like, it seems like whatever your personal theory is and what they're doing wrong, there's meat on the bone for a lot of this game, and there's the opportunity to do stuff better with the personnel that they have.
Right.
If they can figure out, what is the difference. And you can't just tell me it's fourth quarter prevent defense or whatever. Granted,
no, the defense is playing really well, despite giving up 32 points.
Yeah. I mean, I was just saying from the Giants' defense perspective, because you can't give up 33 points in a quarter and not at least partially point the finger on the other side of the field there. Don't get that part
that
wrong
defense
either,
got a little cocky too. I'm not going to lie. Like, watching the game, rewatching it, that defense was like doing this, and they were doing all kinds of stuff to the Denver Broncos sideline.
Demarius Thomas's night and all that. You can't be,
Bruh, I was thinking about that, like the nostalgic factor of that. I'm glad that you bring it up, because I remember, and I've been saying this for a few weeks, and it's a little bit derogatory towards Tebow, and I'm not going to lie about that. I'm not going to just try to sugarcoat it. But I said that this offense is looking a little Tebow-esque, and it is a fitting. I remember that Pittsburgh game, that slant, that one, when the first year they changed.
How can you forget
the rules on if you can score a touchdown on your first possession in the overtime quarter, you can win the game, right? Doesn't matter if you're the away team, doesn't matter if you're the home team. If you can score a touchdown, you win, right? And he gets that first slant, first time it ever happens in history since the rule change, and it so happened to be Demarius Thomas. So it was kind of fitting for the Broncos to win in that kind of fashion, because in that game, if you remember, the Broncos weren't in that game at all. Like, they were getting their butts whipped in that game too, and they just so happened to come back in the fourth quarter and then score the touchdown on a slant to Demarius Thomas, and the rest is history. Mm-hmm. I'm so glad that my boy got put into the ring. Hopefully he can go into the Hall of Fame. It's probably going to take a little bit for him to get into the Hall, but I think he'll get there. He'll eventually get there. But back to this game though. I mean, it looked like Scatterboo, the rookie running back, was a better running back out there on the field on Sunday. Like, it really did, but he's not. He's not. It looked like the eye test. He didn't have more yards. He didn't have any of that stuff. He did have I think one rushing touchdown, and let me look here.
No, he didn't have a rushing touchdown.
He did have a receiving though.
It was a receiving one, yeah.
Right.
I mean, and to be honest, they did kind of stuff him in the fourth quarter in particular. But
that's how they were able to win.
I wouldn't use that as a comparison point, just because that dude is a bruising runner, and he's had a great, at least last month.
He reminds me of Mike Allstott. Did you ever watch Allstott?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
But
that's who he reminds me of, is Mike Allstott, man. Just a fullback that plays tailback, but can
There was
or the bus.
There was definitely some recency bias during the draft when knowing the Broncos needed a running back and knowing like the way that this dude impacted the game for Arizona State in that college football playoff. Where I was kind of hoping wherever they ended up going on running back that he would fall to them. But I know obviously there's a lot that goes into those decisions. But again, Scadaboo goes a couple rounds later than R.J. Harvey. R.J. Harvey gives you another 4 carries for 0 yards performance. He had a touchdown catch, but he had 1 catch for 2 yards. It was that touchdown catch. Outside of that, you had 0 production.
Well,
from
he
him
took
again.
the Denver Broncos defense took that weapon away. You're absolutely right. In the end of the third quarter and in the fourth quarter, they basically just took him out of the game and made the Giants win with other players.
You're talking about Scadaboo again.
Yeah,
okay,
correct.
Got it. Yeah, I was talking about how he's turned out probably the best running back in this rookie class. And it's been a solid rookie class, but it's looking more and more like R.J. Harvey is kind of a questionable decision unless he can figure out how to stop trying to cut it outside.
I mean, most rookies do that. Even Scadaboo was doing that the other day, but he's big enough in his stature. I'd say he doesn't mind running in between the tackles and in between the guards. He doesn't mind that.
Harvey's cutting it outside to try to run around you. Scadaboo, any direction that he's cutting, it's because he wants to run through you.
Through anything that's in that direction.
You could put an actual brick wall on the field, and he would probably get excited for the opportunity to run through it like the Kool-Aid Man.
For real. And I'm feeling that. Like I don't know if Harvey was not the pick for the Broncos. I think he is the pick.
I think it's early to say still.
He's the pick the Broncos want. But he's got to learn how to the speed of the game. Once he learns the speed of the game, he has the even if the Broncos had Scadaboo on their team, I don't think he would be thriving in this offense because he's not. The offense isn't designed for a bruising running back. It's designed for a couple of running backs that can run you over, but are elusive and hit the hole quickly, make one move, and go downhill. Mm-hmm. That's what this offense is designed for. So Scadaboo is more that, like I said, if you ever watched Mike Allstott back in the day, man, he played fullback and tailback. There's also another running back that I'm trying to think of, but I can't think of off the top of my head that played for the Giants, actually.
Not Tiki Barber.
No. Just a big bruising back, but like Jerome Bettis.
Brandon Jacobs?
That might be who I'm thinking of. It'll come to me.
Okay,
It'll come to me
enough.
eventually. But anyway, I do believe that the Denver Broncos have the backs that they need to run this offense. I just think that 14 carries, even though Dobbins did get 81 yards on those 14 carries, like if you gave him 6 more carries, just 6 more carries, and then take away 6 passing. I get a lot of that 50 was at the end of the game when they're trying to get down the field, etc.
It's Sean Payton struggles to hand the ball off more than 25 times in a game. So if that's the amount that you're going to give out, I think J.K. Dobbins has obviously been more than serviceable from that perspective. Yeah. Another 6 yards a carry game for him.
Yep.
Again,
and a 32 long.
And again, I don't mind, especially given J.K. Dobbins' injury history, him not, being relied upon to carry it 20, 25 times a game. It's going to help keep him healthier if you can get these 14 for 80 type of games
only
out
6.
of him.
I'm only asking for 6 more carries.
But my point is, those 6 carries have to come from R.J. Harvey getting at least 40 yards on 10 attempts type of thing, even if he's not going to be a world beater. But you have to be able to supplement it with an effective second option, and they don't have an effective second option right now.
Not right now. Well, I mean, they do. There's the second option. McLaughlin is on the bench. He was their best option last year and fit the best. So I would say if Harvey, I don't want to destroy the young kid's confidence. Don't get me wrong, but I do.
He's listening right now.
I
think he's listening right now.
No, I don't think he gives a damn what I say.
Yeah.
I'm saying I wouldn't want his confidence destroyed. If I was the coach and pulled him out, I don't necessarily want his confidence destroyed, but we need. You're right. You need a comparable backup, like a spell back, to make sure that Dobbins isn't getting worn out.
Yeah, I from a confidence perspective, like we're not talking about a first-round quarterback that you plugged into a starting role too early, and then you benched him after a few weeks, and then you're hoping that he builds back up. Like we're talking about a non-first-round running back. Like you build your confidence by being successful. You have to earn everything in this league. You know?
Right.
Like, and if you're carrying the ball 4 times for 0 yards, like. You got no one to look at but the mirror if you're wondering why you didn't get more attempts.
Yeah, for sure. Bo Nix ended up being the second best running back on the team.
Yeah.
With 48 yards on 5 carries, 2 tutties. He's the only one with a touchdown rushing.
And especially, we're not talking about, Ashton Genty on the Raiders where, you got half the defense in the backfield by the time the ball's in your hands every play. We're talking about, one of the best offensive lines in the league, at least top 10 in rush block win rate, I believe.
Right.
So like sure, maybe not every play is going to be a perfect hole for you, but that's not what you're going to get. Like if you want to survive in the league, you got to work with the space that you're getting,
Here's I agree with you. Here's what I do like about what the Broncos did do. Bo Nix spread the ball around. So Sutton had six catches for 87. Mims had 6 catches for 85. Both averaged about 14 yards.
There's plenty of love to go around when you got 50 pass attempts, to be fair.
I mean, yeah. Franklin got 10 targets, and he only caught 3 of them for 19.
Right.
I really thought that guy was going to flourish in that first game. He seemed like you throw the ball in his general direction, he was catching it. But he caught the one catch, or one of his catches, or the one catch. Let's see. How many did he have? I said 3, but one of them was a touchdown, right? And that was a lucky. Well, maybe not luck, because he looked focused. It was tipped. He ran after it, caught the ball, got his hip down, made the play. So.
If you're Bo Nix, it was lucky. If you're Troy Franklin, then no, it was not lucky.
It was focused.
It was a great play.
It was a great play.
Yeah,
he bailed his quarterback out. He made a play for his team.
Right, but like we're not talking about tracking down a jump ball on being in the right place, right time. We're talking about consistently getting open or making tough contested catches to the point where they can rely on you in those situations. And it's not like he's not trying to get him the ball with those 10 targets.
Right.
I think if anything, you look at what we've hoped for out of a number 2 option this year, but between Marvin Mims and Troy Franklin, those have been your, arguably your 2-3, like you can say 2A, 2B, whatever. And we're hoping that one of these guys is going to take, the next step in their young careers, right? I mean, I think the bigger conversation should honestly be Evan Ingram. Like, I don't think you can let him off the hook for his lack of production since he's been here.
8 targets, 5 catches, 42 yards. I mean, for a team that hasn't really thrown to the tight ends in the past couple of years. Even when they had Russell Wilson, they weren't throwing to the tight ends.
But
that's a little more, though.
They made a big deal about how he was going to be Sean Payton's joker when he got here.
I agree.
And they were going to get him all these,
I agree, brother. I drafted him on my fantasy team and had to drop him after week 2. I was like, what are we doing here?
His 42 yards is the most he's had in a game this season. Like
for real.
And we're 7 weeks in at this point. So
right. On 8.4, but that means he's starting to become Bo Nix's security blanket. 8.4, that's first downs. I think he had 2 first down catches, as opposed to Sutton constantly being that security blanket. Now, and Sutton did have 4 first down catches. Mims had 3. Ingram had 2. So. That's the thing that I did like. That's the bright spot is 10 targets for Sutton, 7 for Mims, 8 for Ingram, and then they had 6, 6, and 5 on that. That's a winning combination, with the exception of having to throw, as you said, 50 passes in order to achieve it. I think that they could have still achieved those numbers with Dobbins running 6 more times, or even Harvey. If you were gonna give the kid an opportunity, the rookie an opportunity to go, you got to give him more than 4 opportunities. And I get what you're saying. Like, yes, it has to be earned, but you're not going to get him to earn it by giving him 4 rushing attempts.
Yeah, no, I understand.
4 rushing attempts, and one of those is a 4-yard because he kept getting tackled behind the line.
Yeah,
that's tough. That's tough for any rookie. But he does keep trying to bounce it to the outside, brother. if you ever catch this show, if you ever catch this show, man, please just footwork, be patient, wait for that A or B gap to open. You're fast and you're good and you're quick, man, but so is everyone else at this level.
Right.
Hit the hole that the play is designed and use that quickness to accelerate through that, and you are going to go far, man. I can see it. I see what they saw in him.
He hit that 50-yard carry in week 1 against Tennessee, and he has not had a 10-yard carry since then. I think he's still thinking about that play, thinking that's, all I have to do is break one, this week, and it'll be a good week. And it's like, that's not how you make your living. And I get it. Like, you got to give him the opportunities. And granted that he got 14 in the blowout against Cincinnati, but you're relying on, with the output you're getting right now, you're relying on the game script to allow you to give him the ball over and over again, even when he's getting stuffed. And when you're down 19-0 in the third quarter, you can't just keep giving Harvey the ball until he figures it out. You're trying to win the game at that point.
No, and I get that. I really do. I get it.
About that.
I don't understand why. Like, especially if you're gonna, they could have given him all of the load of his carries in the first 2 quarters, when there was still an opportunity to win the game, but it wasn't on the line as well. To your point. But the thing is that he needs more reps, and if you're not going to give him more reps, then please allow somebody else to get those reps, or let Dobbins run 5 to 6 more carries in the game, or man, just stop with these damn college screens. Though I can't. If I see one more screen, I'm gonna lose my mind.
You're gonna trigger Sean Payton. Did you hear his interview about that?
Yes.
The question.
Yes.
He's like, I think we broke about 3 big plays out of those.
No.
And so
No,
how come you don't want to talk about those? I think they had 3 plays over 10 yards, but I mean,
What the heck?
Out of 11, 12 attempts, it's just ugly to watch. To your point, though, yeah. And it's not building Bo's confidence, like.
Yeah, like Mark says here in the chat, 33 points every quarter. That's what we expect now. Like, you can't.
No, I'm telling you, you gotta take a long, hard look at the film from that quarter and the fourth quarter against Philly relative to the rest of those games. Maybe just whatever you had in the playbook for those quarters, just throw out the rest of that whole huge play sheet that Sean Payton carries around. Cut the whole rest of it out. Just take those and just run those until they
stop them.
Yeah.
Until they stop them.
I don't like.
That's how the Cowboys did it in the 90s, bro. They ran like 3 or 4 plays, and you couldn't stop them. Like, how are you going to stop them? And you couldn't. And it's like, well, we're going to keep running these plays until you can stop it.
Speaking of the Cowboys, and also speaking of running backs that we wish could have done more in Denver.
Javonte.
Yeah, what do you think about this performance? Is he second in the league in rushing yards or something crazy like that?
I think he's second or third, man.
It's nuts.
I didn't want them to give up on him. I really didn't, but he was a shell of himself here. And I think Sean Payton was so tough on him that he probably would not have recovered. Like, I just don't think he would. I think he found a new life in the Dallas Cowboys uniform, and I'm happy for him. It's not like he ran away from being a Denver Bronco. He was, released. He was cut. He got signed up to the Dallas Cowboys, and the Dallas Cowboys are utilizing him to the T. And I think he is second or third in the league in rushing, and the Broncos are going to have a handful with him. He's going to have an extra chip on his shoulder come Sunday. Guaranteed.
So here's my question. From what you're seeing from him this year, and obviously, like, the injury recovery here is well documented. How much of this performance would you attribute to, he's finally 100% of himself again? Even last year, there was still nagging, lack of explosiveness from that injury. And then how much of it is, he's just in a potent offense and he's seeing less people in the box and he's able to, exploit that in ways. Because, I mean, the yards per carry he's getting this year and the pace that he's on is even exceeds his rookie season in Denver, where he had 900
This is what
yards.
he looked like. This is what he looked like when what he thought what we thought he was going to be here in Denver.
So far this year, he's on pace to have a even significantly better year than he had as a rookie in Denver. So I guess how much of it is, the recovery of the body of a now more mature running back from that version of him? How much of it is he's in a better situation for his skill set?
It's okay. So I would say if we're going to go ratio wise, like percentage, I would say it's 60-40, and 60 being the new environment. And I say that to say this. Sean Payton, I don't think, gave him an opportunity. Like, he did not really give him he came down on him like, you should be this, you should be that, maybe. I don't know what he was saying to him, but I don't think he gave him an actual opportunity to be himself. And that's why I say the renewal of his skill set and the way he's playing this year is because of the new locker room. Now, the 40% is, because of the last year, he was in his head. He was in his head. And not having a coach that would allow you to be yourself instead of because that's one thing I do not like about Sean Payton is Sean Payton wants players that fit in his scheme instead of fitting a scheme to his players. And I think that is always a big mistake with coaching. Like, when you coach people, you have to coach them to their abilities, not to what you need them to be. I mean, not to, you can't, how do I say this? Like, you have to coach them up to what you need them to be and get them there. And if they can't get there, then you need to replace them. But you can't just be like, oh, square peg, round hole, he's not going to fit ever, and just, disregard him. And I think that's what happened with Javonte. I think he was disregarded. He wasn't given the proper time to mentally wrap his mind around his knee and ankle and his hips and all of that being fine. And going to Dallas, they were like, oh, yeah, you're good, buddy. Here, we're just going to hand you the rock.
So what you're saying is if Sean Payton had like a cloning machine that he could stick Taysom Hill in and just have a whole roster of Taysom Hills, he would have more rings than Belichick at this point?
I mean, yeah, I think that would
Sean
be
Payton, at least.
I think that would be a true statement. I really do. I think if he could have a Wayback Machine, he would, or some sort of cloning machine, he would do that. But you can't. There's no way in sports to find the exact players that'll fit your scheme. You can try to find guys that are close, but eventually, as a coach, you're going to have to fit, your scheme to what you have.
Right. I'd be interested to see some of the, what do you call it, the next gen stats on how his explosiveness this year compares to last year, how he's doing on expected yards per carry, yards after
now you have
contact,
homework.
Stuff like that. I know it, right?
Now you have
really
homework
though.
for next week.
But I mean, again, I said it earlier, Denver, last year even did not have a bad offensive line, right? It's not like there was no room to run, and it's not taking anything away from how solid Dallas's offensive line is, because that's always been a strength of their team, even if it's not quite what it used to be in years past. But it's mind-boggling. And granted, we're 7 weeks into the season. Let's see it over a full season how he does. But it's nuts to see.
I don't know, man. We're about halfway through.
That's
what I'm
saying. We got a good sample size at this point.
Yeah, he seems like the Javonte of old, or even a better version of himself. Yeah. I don't know what they gave him in Dallas, whether it was a pep talk, encouragement, whatever the case may be, some drugs. I don't know. Well, I don't know what they gave him. I would hope it's not drugs. I would hope it's not. I don't want to throw that out there.
I will say there's a lot of other dudes that are getting a lot of attention from if you're defense scheming against Dallas than he probably ever had. He never had a situation where he had CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens out wide, Jake Ferguson at tight end, and Dak slinging it around. That was never.
That's why a lot of people downgrade Emmitt Smith, is because he had obviously the greatest offensive line ever assembled in history.
Sure, yeah.
Plus Michael Irvin on one side, Alvin Harper on the other.
Right.
Plus the tight Novacek. The tight end they had, there was so many places that you had to pick your poison with the Dallas Cowboys at that time.
Right, yeah.
And a lot of people discredit Emmett, how is he the greatest when he had Leon Lett to run behind and all of these things, but it's just you know what, you play with the team that you're drafted to,
exactly.
or that you're
Can't
signed
hold that
to
against the player, right? I mean, you could have the same conversation now about Nick Bonito's the one leading the league in sacks. It's not Myles Garrett. It's not Micah Parsons. It's not, one of these other big name guys. I mean, you could argue, what percentage of double teams is one facing versus the other, sure. But, at the end of the day, like, Nick Bonito doesn't pick the blocking schemes that he's going to face each week. He just gets the quarterback on the ground.
And he had 0 sacks this past Sunday.
Yeah.
0 sacks, but the Broncos still had 4.
Right.
Like, because they had to scheme. So it's like everybody else got to eat because they had to scheme Bonito out of the Giants tried to take Bonito out of the game, which they did. But then they couldn't account for Coop on the other side, and they couldn't account for Stranad in the middle.
Right.
Greenlaw, when he was in there, they couldn't account for that.
It's like saying Klay Thompson isn't like an all-time great shooter because he played with Steph. So, of course, he was going to have space to shoot. It's like, it's a stupid argument.
I mean, yeah, that's just like, yeah.
But
anyways.
we're just out here playing devil's advocate, even when the devil's an idiot. That's all.
Right. So just to give a recap right now, the the Chargers are playing Minnesota, and they are up 14-3. And that's another thing that we as Bronco fans can take pride in right now is the Broncos are number 1 in the division. Now, I didn't expect them to get to 5-2 the way they are, but if you go back and look when we did our picks, I had predicted them to be at 5-2 where they're at. I was looking at it yesterday, and I still think they're only going to have 3 losses. I don't know why. Even though this offense is anemic, in a coma, but 33 points in 6 minutes. 6 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, I think obviously you don't want to take it for granted, but I think if you wanted a realistic shot of winning this division, like you probably had to go 5-2 out of those first 7 games, knowing you had to beat the Titans, knowing, a Joe Burrow-less Bengals team you have to beat, knowing you have to beat the Giants and the Jets, and, you don't want to drop all 3 between the Colts, Chargers, and Eagles games. You had to get one of those, and you did.
The only game that I misread was the Colts. I thought the Broncos would win that one.
Well, nobody thought the Colts were going to be this good, to be fair.
Nobody did.
Because nobody thought Daniel Jones would just have a complete,
Talk about a resurgence right there,
career revival in Indianapolis. But, I mean, that's, again, we talked about it in the context of the Jets. You could argue the same thing. Great things happen to quarterbacks when you leave New York,
Well, the only thing that would have been better is if the Broncos had beaten the Chargers in that game instead of losing by a field goal, because then they'd be 2 games up on the Chargers right now. Winning the game against the Giants, they'd be 2 games up. The Broncos really could be 6-0 right now, or 7-0. They could be, but they're not. They're not. We're living in reality. I know.
You could also be 3-4. You could have easily lost each of the past 2 weeks. You wouldn't. You're never going to lose the Tennessee or the Cincy game, but
when this team puts it together, though. It's going to be scary. Like it's just
you could say that about a lot of teams. So that's the thing. Are you going to put it together?
No,
at
but
the right time?
This team, that's the key thing. Is like, can they put it together? They seem to have game by game.
Yeah, I think 4 games this year could have gone either way with, whatever amount of luck you want to attribute to each of those games. I think winning 2 of those is probably a fair outcome to come out of this 5-2.
Yep.
And I think, honestly, if you looked at this schedule at the start of the year, you probably were a little bit more worried about some of these games than you are now. Like, the Texans don't look as good as you might have thought they could have been.
Dallas doesn't look as bad as you thought or as I thought they were going to be.
Yeah, I mean, it depends who you ask with Dallas. There's always someone picking them to win 14 games and someone picking them to win 4, right? But
what's their record now?
3-1.
Yeah.
But the Commanders don't look nearly as good as we thought they would be.
Yep.
The Raiders don't look as good. I'm not saying the Raiders.
All of these teams have had a lot
of
injuries. Miami's not as good. A lot of injuries.
I don't think they play Miami.
No, they don't. But I'm just saying a lot of teams aren't as good.
The only thing that looks tougher than it looked at the start of the season is the Jacksonville game, and that's still going to be at home in late December against a Florida team. Like and there's still, the book is not written on that Jacksonville team yet. They're still inconsistent as well. So, I think what we were talking about a couple weeks ago, it does look probably a little bit more open the rest of the year than it did. Obviously, the 2 Chiefs games are always going to be a war. The Green Bay game, of course, will be tough.
Well, they just have to get through these next few weeks. Like the Cowboys, I think Mike and I were talking about it a couple weeks ago, beating the Giants, beating the Cowboys. These next 3 or 4 games could create a separation. Beating the Giants, even though they should have handily beat the Giants, winning that game kind of gave them a leg up. Now they're a game or a half game ahead of in the division, so you have a little bit of a cushion. You can't not too much breathing room, but you have a little bit of breathing room. You beat the Cowboys, you create even more space, even though it looks like the Chargers are going to win today, but you keep that gap. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
You're keeping ahead of what they would say ahead of the chains when it comes to winning the division, because at the end of the year, I think it's about 50% of their games in the last 6 to 8 games are all divisional, because they've only played the Chargers once. That's it.
Yeah, they get the Chargers to finish the year. The Chiefs the week before that. They do. They have a couple weeks with the Packers and the Jags, but
that's it.
Yeah,
that's it. The rest of them are all divisional games.
Well, the Commanders are fit in there too.
Oh,
but
yeah.
The other Chiefs games and the other 2 Raiders games are all sandwiched around that. Like once to your point, yes. Once you get through the Cowboys and Texans, it's mostly division.
It's the
way
gauntlet.
Yeah.
It's gauntlet from then on.
Yeah, but the Raiders, I don't think you're worried about at this point. I hate to say it. Raider
It's
Nation,
not that
but-
I'm worried about them. It's just that every time we play the Raiders always seem to figure out a way to beat the Broncos.
They are very familiar with y'all, and they've said that they're not getting rid of Max Crosby, and Max Crosby loves to play Denver.
Loves to play Denver. Loves to eat Denver quarterbacks alive, like he really does. There are quarterbacks that have played for this team that'll have nightmares of it, kind of like they had back in the day before he played for Denver, when he played for the Raiders or played for San Francisco, like Bill Romanowski. Very similar. You have nightmares about that guy. But here's the thing: looking ahead to this week against the Cowboys and the Broncos. So offensively, the Cowboys are averaging 31.7 a game.
Just insane.
31.7 a game. Their offense is crazy good. Their defense is allowing just as much. That's why they're 3-3.
Right.
Is because they're averaging 31.7 on offense, but also giving up 29.4 on defense.
Sure.
And I don't think that's a Micah Parsons thing. I don't think adding Micah Parsons back to the Dallas Cowboys would make that number jump significantly higher. I really don't.
It certainly doesn't hurt, but yeah, it's not going to make them an elite defense on its own.
No. They might give up like 27 points a game with Micah Parsons getting a couple of 2 sacks a game, but that's about it.
Right.
That's about it. But offensive yards per game, Cowboys only get about 40 more yards than the Broncos. That's the problem is the Broncos can move the ball. They're not scoring though.
Yeah. Well, and to be fair, the Cowboys' offense is, I think, around 24 points a game on the road. They're definitely better in Jerry's house, and so the fact that you get them in Denver certainly helps. They also have, what's their kicker's name? Who's ridiculous? Guy's automatic. I don't know why his
Who's that?
name is
I'm
escaping
sorry.
me. They're Brandon Aubrey. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
This dude makes 65-yarders like they're extra points, and then you're
real.
putting them at altitude. So I mean, basically, all they have to do is get the ball to midfield, and
he gets to take his own ball, the ball he wants to use.
Right.
But here's something that flies in the face of the comment I made about running the ball. So the Broncos are 6th overall, averaging 131.9 rushing yards per game.
Yeah, it's because J.K. Dobbins is top 3 in the league in yards per carry. So he's only getting the ball 15 times a game. That's all he needs to get his 100, or maybe slightly less than that.
Right.
And then Bo Nix will scramble for 30 or 40, and there you go.
And both of these teams are very possession type teams. They want their offenses running very long drives. Cowboys even more so because their defense is horrible.
Yeah, they got to keep that defense off the field as much as possible.
As opposed to most teams, like when you have like a Lamar Jackson or something of that, you want to keep their offense off the field, right? But their offense wants to keep their defense off the field, so they have to have long, sustaining drives,
right,
so that the other offense doesn't have as many opportunities to score on their defense.
Right.
The Broncos only allowed 93.3 when the rushing yards when the Cowboys average 122. So Javonte Williams will be like the key to the Cowboys actually being able to win this game.
I actually, yes, for sure. It's always like going to be crucial. I think from a matchup standpoint, obviously you feel good with PS2 on anyone, even CeeDee Lamb, and that's usually a huge part of the Dallas offense. I think you can run Jahdae Barron or some of these linebackers with Jake Ferguson. I think the George Pickens, Riley Moss matchup, I think they're going to throw to that a lot. And how Moss does with that matchup is going to be a huge part of. He doesn't have to dominate. The Dallas defense, no matter how bad the Denver offense plays, is going to let up some points, right? The question is, can Riley Moss get a couple timely stops when he needs to get that defense off the field
without getting penalized for it.
Without getting penalized, yeah, exactly.
A lot of the ticky-tack fouls he gets penalized for are just it's just,
and there's going to be more incentive too, because if you watch this Cowboys offense, I mean, they make some tough freaking catches, dude. Like contested, tiptoeing along the sideline, no space and Dak has all the confidence in the world to throw it there, knowing, if he puts it in a certain spot, only his guy can get it. And they make those catches. So, if you're Riley Moss, it might be tempting to, try to get a little extra physical to try to disrupt these things. And, you have to make sure you're playing clean still.
Well, speaking of playing clean, and even though this didn't happen in the game, Greenlaw has been suspended after his first game in a Broncos uniform. I don't know how to quite feel as a Broncos fan about that. Like, we waited literally 6 weeks to see this dude. And I was texting Mark, like, I'm watching the game with Mark's lovely mom, and shout out to her. He's probably watching the podcast in her room. Get well soon, Angie. We love you. But we were watching the game, and I sent a text, and I said, it looks like the defensive unit is more cohesive with Greenlaw out there. And Mark sent me a text, and he was like, because literally after I sent that, the Giants scored, like literally scored right after that. And he was like, oh, looking cohesive enough for allowed him to score. And I was like, yeah, but he wasn't on the field. That's the thing. Greenlaw was being held on a quote-unquote pitch count.
Yeah. He
wasn't in as much as he should have been because they were trying to feel him out. And now he's going to be out against the Cowboys when they need him the most. But I do think during that time, and I haven't had a chance all week to look at the stats to see what the percentage was of third downs and whatnot that he played. But from the eye test, every time I saw him out there, the defense looked better. They were getting after Jackson Dart. They were there wasn't any free running wide receivers just running down the field. As soon as you took him out, it seemed like there was a whole bunch of that. So, but there was also a bit of dysfunction with him in there too. I think he's still trying to get a grasp of the defense. He hasn't played; he's just practiced. So, I'm still pissed though that he got suspended, man. I did not get a chance to see the actual video.
You gotta watch it. It's funny.
Is it funny?
It's funny, yeah. Especially because they're all storming the field. Game's over, right? Mm-hmm. And after he says whatever he says to the guy, the ref takes the flag out and throws it at him.
Oh my goodness! Oh yeah, you texted that. He was like, he threw the.
Ever. It's like
the game is over.
The game's over, man. Like
you can't penalize him for the next game.
When are you assessing that penalty? It's just
like on your next kickoff against the Dallas Cowboys, we're gonna back you up 15 yards.
It's just so funny, like obviously in a game setting, like it's got so much meaning when he decides to do that, and then as soon as the clock hits 0, it's like, dude, that's that may have made you feel better, but it doesn't mean it. Like I want to walk around my regular personal life just with a flag in my pocket, and if somebody says something that offends me, I'm just gonna be like. And
could you imagine being in HR, right? If we had penalty flags, when somebody said something, we just threw a penalty flag at them, like.
Or do it soccer style. You just pull the red card out.
Oh my God!
Get out of here. Yeah.
But here's the thing. I want to know what he said.
And I think it was some kind of threat.
Because they upheld it.
I heard. Yeah,
They upheld it.
I didn't read what the exact verbiage was, but it sounds like it was some kind of threat, and that was my initial reaction. Like
Right.
the only way, if you're the league and you get away with suspending a player for something that happens after the game was actually over, there had to be like some kind of threat of violence.
I want to know what threat.
However tangible it was or it wasn't. Like
I want to know what the ref said to him, and I want to know what he said in response. Like specifically, because if he was just like,
he must have dropped his mama's name or something.
F-bombing him, or being like, I'd slap the crap out of you if you weren't a ref. Like, come on, man. Like
hit him with the $100K fine and move on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
are you serious? Suspend him for a game for an after? But if he did say, man, I'll kill you, or I'll send somebody to your house. I know where you live.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, it'd be one thing if he was arguing about like a call in the game or something like
Right.
that. But, the perception that I had was that, he sees, the ref actually shove Sternad as
Right.
he's trying to get off the field.
Right.
And then he runs to defend his player knowing
Right.
the game is over. And so
Right.
I'm not saying that justifies, threatening somebody, but to
Right.
your point, like to say like, oh, I'd slap the crap out
Yeah,
of
like,
you.
well, I'll slap the hell out of you. The game's over. I'll
Right.
slap you. Like,
Right. Like after watching him shove your player, okay, I could see that. But like
Yeah.
this dude must have been like, I'm gonna do something to your family. or
yeah,
something
like I know where
that,
you
dude.
live,
Right,
cuz.
right,
Like
right,
for
yeah.
real. Like Greenlaw didn't strike me as that type of person anyway. But hey, I don't know what was said. So
Yeah,
please
he must have
release
said something,
what he
right?
was said, because they're not saying what he said. They just said it was something, a threat. And they upheld his suspension. But I'm pissed off at him, even though he was going to the defense of one of the
Stupid
players.
play. Yeah.
It was just stupid.
Yeah. You can defend him without getting your butt suspended.
Correct.
Like that. Like
Correct. You
gotta
just
know
hurt
where-
your team.
Yeah, like the game's over. Just know where to draw the line. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, so I'm
You
more
won. You
I'm more
won the
pissed off
game.
at him.
Like-
The refs tried to hand the game to the Giants. They figured now we couldn't hand it to the Giants. We can hand it to the Cowboys because we're going to take their best linebacker out of the game. I heard in a couple of places where the coach for the Giants, or a defensive coordinator, and I don't know if this was in jest or I was half asleep, so don't quote me on this, and I'll have to look it up. But the Giants fired their defensive coordinator. Did you see that?
I didn't hear that. No.
It might have been an onion. I'm not gonna lie. It might have been an onion. I was like half asleep, scrolling through some.
Actually, no. I remember I saw an article come out where Dable was asked if he's going to make any changes to the staff after that meltdown, and he was like, "No, we're not making any changes." And I think that, I was just confused as to how that's an article in the first place. But I guess it's New York media, so it becomes national news when you get questions and answers like that. But he stuck by his staff after that, is what I recalled. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
No, it was Shane Bowen.
That's their DC, right?
Yeah. Defense decided to play ultra conservatively. All right, so it must have been an onion.
They were all complaining about how on the game-winning.
I'm glad I looked.
Yeah, the game-winning field goal drive, they only rushed 3. They dropped 8 in coverage, and that was when they hit the 25-yarder to Mims to
Yeah,
get
that
him
must have been a
in range or whatever.
either
they
that
hit
or it's
another
one.
play after that too. But I guess like one of the Giants players, I think was it Abdul Carter, maybe, like their rookie defensive lineman. He's walking off in the tunnel, and the fans hear him like, only rush 3. Like he was complaining out loud about it. Or
Right.
whatever, So, yeah.
No, I feel you on that.
What's up?
It must have been either an onion, or it must have been like one of those, because I see those for Bronco sites all the time.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Like a fan creates like their own Antheon and all of these things where it's
Right.
like these trade things. So I'm assuming that that's what it was. And like I said, I was half asleep. I'm glad we looked.
Yeah.
But to what you said about throwing flags. So Mark said, do be throwing flags in Starbucks if they made his latte wrong. He blows his whistle. What? I said cream, no sugar.
I'm telling you, I'm bringing a flag with me wherever I go from now on. It's gotta have some application to regular life. Dude, it's crazy the power trip these guys get. I swear.
I agree. I agree.
And it's tough. Like you have to balance like letting them do their job too, because there was just, I don't know if you heard about this, there was some SEC refs in college football that got suspended for the rest of the year after they missed a couple calls in I think it was the Auburn-Georgia game. It was like, it was one of those things where like there was a fumble at the goal line, but he broke the plane first, and they looked at the replay, and they said it was the fumble stood and it shouldn't have, and then like some targeting call that they missed that the replay booth had to call in for them, and something else stupid like that. And the whole the whole crew got suspended for the rest of the season. And it's like,
right.
That sets a dangerous precedent too. Like, where if people go headhunting for refs after the game, then, they're just like, their job.
Most referees are lawyers though, bro.
Yeah.
Like most of them are lawyers, like tax lawyers and stuff like that. But they're lawyers, and most of them are squeaky clean. Maybe not in the NBA, but they're pretty squeaky clean in the NFL. The NFL kind of runs a tight ship, but
yeah, I mean,
the NBA is being scrutinized heavily right now.
That's a good segue if you want to get into that.
Yeah, let's do it. We've got 10 minutes left here.
Yeah.
I was just reading up on it. Chauncey Billups, the king of Park Hill, Mr. Big Shot, a guy that I grew up, I watched him play live, like at GW. Like I watched him play and literally break a guy's ankles on the playground at GW. It's just like on a pickup game. This kind of hits home and hard to me. I saw it earlier today, and I thought it was a nothing burger because at first what I read was he was playing poker. Like him and some other players were playing poker. I didn't get deep into it because, I work nights, so I'm trying to I kind of skimmed it.
Trying to do your job and all that.
Well, I mean,
adult stuff.
I skimmed it, and then I was just like, okay, I got to go to sleep. And then when I woke up today, it was just like it had caught this like a brush fire. Like it was just like all over the place, this big, huge story of, no, he didn't just run a gambling ring, like a poker ring with the mob. There was also giving of information of injuries and who's going to play and when they're going to get pulled and all kinds of stuff. So enlighten us, because you got a little more in depth and read it a little bit more, and I'm going to keep reading here. But give me a little insight of what you read.
It's just funny to me the way that the NBA is making the news in its opening week. It's like, the play-in tournament can eat its heart out. This is the most coverage that they were ever going to get this week. So you're welcome, Adam Silver. Is really what Chauncey should be saying. But no, this is crazy. So there's a couple separate things going on here, right? There's kind of the stuff that you would expect when you think about like players and coaches having influence on outcomes for gambling, right? Mm-hmm. Where like, Terry Rozier, like took himself out of a game in like the first quarter saying he had a foot injury. And then before the game, he had told his childhood friend to, that he was going to do it. And then the childhood friend sold this information to some bettors for like $100,000 or something like that, right? And apparently this happened multiple times, involved different people,
and they were rigging like these poker games. It wasn't just that they were.
Hold on. I want to build up to the poker games, because the poker games
bury the story.
Are actually the most fun part.
Okay, my bad.
And then the coaches. There's multiple coaches involved that are giving out like injury information that's not public, right? About LeBron, about Dame Lillard, potentially about Anthony Davis, where they're telling people to bet one way or another, and they're getting either a flat fee or sometimes like commission on the bets based on this injury info. Like there's one game where LeBron wasn't announced that he was going to miss it to the last minute, and apparently they told everybody to bet Milwaukee hard, and they did, and Milwaukee won, right? All these different things. Mm-hmm. And then you get to the Hollywood movie craziness of this, right? Which is Chauncey Billups and apparently other co-conspirators, about 30 different people, are running these poker games in partnership with up to 4 different mafia families in New York City, right? And they're basically using the NBA, celebrity of a guy like Chauncey Billups, right? Hall of Famer, Finals MVP, active coach, all these things, to lure these, big players into the game, thinking it's a legitimate game, thinking, hey, I'm just going to, I'm going to play some high stakes poker with freaking Chauncey Billups. Like, that sounds fun, right?
Right.
And then they're hosing these guys, right? And I want to read to you the examples of the the type of ways that they were
please
hosing
do.
these guys, because I couldn't believe it.
While you're
honestly.
looking that up, I got to set the record straight. That was Illy DeVoe that or Mike that said that ref be probably throwing flags and stuff. I had to correct the record.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah,
So go ahead.
Give credit where it's due there.
Yes, sir.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
So the organizers allegedly used sophisticated cheating technologies, including shuffle machines that could read the cards in the deck,
Shame.
poker chip trays with hidden cameras,
Shame.
special contact lenses and glasses that could read pre-marked cards,
Everything Vegas would never allow you to do.
an X-ray table that could read cards face down on the table, and then once the fish that they brought in lost, then they used the crime families to basically make sure that their money would get collected, even if the guy couldn't pay up. Originally, we're talking millions of dollars that they extorted from people this way. Just insane. So obviously, there's a lot. It's all alleged. None of it, no one's been proven guilty yet. But allegedly, this investigation has been going on for years and years to get to this point. And obviously, the question that I'm sure a lot of Billups and Rozier fans are going to ask is like, well, how aware were these guys of what they were allegedly involved in, right? Like, did Chauncey just think he was playing regular poker games and he was getting really lucky,
Right.
or was he under some kind of pressure from the mafia to participate in this? Was his family in danger? Or was he a co-conspirator where he was actively masterminding this situation? And the thing I find super interesting about it is you compare it to like the Jonte Porter news that came out a while back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jonte Porter, you think about the motive, like, okay, here's a guy whose NBA future is uncertain. He doesn't know how many years he's got in the league. He's not necessarily making a fortune that he can, use the rest of his life from his playing career at this stage, right? So there's some financial incentive to, to participate in these things to put food on the table, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you look at guys like Terry Rozier's had, I think 3 or more seasons in the league where he's averaged over 20 points a game, signed a fat contract with Charlotte, right? Chauncey Billups, obviously, I don't know what he made when he was a player. Obviously, players made less than, but
hold on, I got you.
He's making
$107 million as a player.
Now we're talking.
So there you go, and that's not even including his coaching contract, which I'm sure is for millions a year as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you look at guys like this. What the heck is the motivation? Like, what? You just Walter White'd it. You wanted to feel alive a little bit. You weren't getting enough juice out of your everyday NBA playing career or coaching career.
I guess because when you get in the bed with the mob, brother, you
that's
don't get out.
insane,
You don't
dude.
get out.
It's insane.
And you better keep your mouth shut.
right, exactly.
Better keep your damn mouth shut.
So-
That's all I know, Mr. Billups.
So now it's like, to see it get to this point, is it? There's a lot to unpack here that we're probably not going to know for a long time, but I think that's
There's going to be a TV movie made of this.
Oh my god! Probably the documentaries and Netflix movies and all the rest of it.
What's really crazy is
man.
I'm reading here that he made $107 million in his playing career, but his net worth is so much lower. But yet he was running a gambling ring to where he was winning lots and lots of money.
Like that's what I'm saying. So did these guys get into gambling problems where they blew their fortune and they needed this? They were like,
once you get under the thumb of the mafia,
right? Exactly. They owed the mafia money, and the mafia was like, oh well, instead of breaking your legs because you're a public figure, we can't do that. You're just going to do this for us instead.
Yep.
But then you got Terry Rozier's lawyer who's saying, oh, Terry's not a gambling man. Like, we look forward to proving his innocence. It's like, oh, okay, well, I mean, I guess maybe that's what he's supposed to say. I don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's exactly what your lawyer should be saying. If that was my lawyer and I was
if
caught
you're
up in
thinking
this,
about it, depending on the evidence they have, though, if you got to plead guilty, you don't want your lawyer saying that crap,
I mean, yeah, you do. I still want my lawyer saying that.
I guess, yeah, to get like the whatever leverage,
you want the public
whatever limited
court of
leverage
public
you might have.
Yeah,
right,
man, I want
right.
that court of public opinion
Right.
swayed in my direction.
Yeah.
Period. Point. End of discussion.
Yeah.
I definitively want my lawyer being out there. This is monstrously false. Like,
this is egregious. This
Yes.
is slander. We're countersuing.
we will be suing for harassment.
I'm going after the entire FBI. This is a political smear campaign. I told him I was running for president next year.
And don't go there. Don't go there. You're gonna lose the crowd.
Sorry.
You're gonna lose the crowd. No, just no. But it is crazy to me that if he probably that's probably the situation is he started making some bets with the wrong people, or he was gambling in some of these dens, and then it like you said, got a marker.
Yeah. Now
you owe the family, right? Now you're in debt. And you never get out of debt from the mafia, bro.
Right.
Like never. It's designed worse than insurance. Like you're never getting out of it, and you will always have to pay. So that's most likely what happened. That's what it looks like has happened. Is he got under the thumb of the mob, but we don't know.
I can't wait for the movie.
We don't know. They're making it look like. Well, neither can I. But they're making it look like he was like the ringleader, like Chauncey was a ringleader,
right.
like so.
Right.
I don't believe that.
All right, real quick, because we got to wrap. Who plays
Yes.
Chauncey in the movie documentary about it?
Oh man, I can't think of the actor's name, but I'm gonna go with
Dave Chappelle.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Dave Chappelle gets
I ain't
jacked.
gambling, bitches. All right. Yeah, I am saying too much, man. Il just said, "Hey, you're saying too much." Like he's right.
Yeah.
He's right. If I don't, you know what, Vinny, we're gonna go back and re-edit that. With that said, thank you for watching the show, man. We appreciate y'all. Make sure you like and subscribe. Follow us at Sportz Phenz on all of your social media. Get us off of YouTube. Like and subscribe the channel. We will see you next week. Me and the headless horseman over here. The real Sportz Phenz because it's across his chest. We'll see you next week, Thursday, 7 p.m. Catch the podcast anytime. Thank you again. Peace.